All right. Oh my gosh. Like usual. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Live Coding with rabbitwerks JavaScript. My name is Sean, and I need to get my screen working. So not much has changed. I don't want that one. There we go. Wait, that's the wrong screen. What happened to my other screen? Nothing but trouble. Gosh. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Oh, it doesn't want to pick up my display now. Why would I want to? There we go. Technology doesn't seem to ever like me. Okay. Welcome, coding rabbits, to another episode of Live Coding with rabbitwerks JavaScript. My name is Sean, and it's been a while, so I just want to say really quick that I do apologize about the delay in the live streaming, or the lack of live streaming in the last month and a half or so. Not to go into too much personal details, but I've been dealing with some depression and stuff. So, I don't know, I struggle with depression and anxiety pretty much my whole adolescence and adult life and stuff, and got out of a 2-year long relationship that wasn't very good, and hence the scenery change behind me and all that good stuff. And obviously with change, a lot of good comes with it, but a lot of emotions can come with it too. So been dealing with some depression and working through it, and hence the lack of motivation to do anything, but I'm forcing myself through it. And I strongly encourage you that if you're dealing with any type of anxiety or any type of depression yourself, that you should reach out and just get some support from anybody that'll listen. And I always want to talk about it, because depression is not cool, and it can be a very slippery slope if not handled and dealt with properly. So yeah, that's my soapbox. Make sure not to screw around with mental health, people. That's very important. All right, so that being said, let's move on to the next thing. So this live coding series is going to be a rendition of the Coding Garden with CJ's project, the auth from scratch Noob Quest. And let's see here. I'm going to pull up the link so we can take a look, and I'll share it in the chat. So basically, if you are familiar with the CJ's channel, Coding Garden, he's got a playlist on here called Noob Quest Auth from Scratch right here. So 5 episodes. Basically, he goes through how to design a sign-up login page, feature both front and back end from scratch. And he's going through, in this series, he's going through, a few different he's basically teaching his friend how to do this and having him code along. So it's a little bit slower paced than some people would like. So I decided that I wanted to go through and kind of make a shortened version of it, a little bit more succinct version of it. So with CJ's approval, he said go for it, and that's what we're doing here. So if anybody wants to check out the original playlist, the link is in the description as well, and I will share the chat. Oops, share it in the chat as well. Make sure to go check his channel out and give him a like and subscribe, because it's really good content if you haven't discovered the Coding Garden yet. So mad props to CJ and the whole Coding Garden team over there. So let's, yeah, okay. Here. Right. So basically what this is going to be is, let me pull up my what is it called? I can't think. Too many windows. Prototype. Let me pull up the prototype, and we could take a look at kind of what we're going to be getting at here. I mean, for this episode, we're just going to work on building out the back end, or getting the back end kind of started out and whatnot, but I just wanted to kind of show everybody what we will be doing as far as like the visual aspect of it, just so people can have an idea of what it's gonna be. Let's see, projects, live coding projects, proto. Actually, I'll just open this folder right here. Okay, so let's see here. I'll go to that. I'm gonna pull up the terminal. npm cd into the client and npm run serve. So like I said, this is going to be a full stack project. It's going to be, I'm going to use Vue for the front end, just because that's what I want to do. But you can do it in anything really. It doesn't matter, because ultimately we're just going to be hitting we're going to be hitting some endpoints on our back end. So it doesn't really matter what the front end is going to be written in, as long as we can make a fetch request essentially. So I'm going to do it in Vue. Feel free to do it in whatever you want. Vanilla, React, Angular, Ember, whatever else out there. I don't know any of the other ERs. So, and the backend's going to be Node, built, an Express app built in Node with MongoDB as the database. So pretty straightforward Venom stack app that we're going to be working on. All right, now this is spun up. Let's take a look. Pretty basic. What we got here is just going to be a login page, username, password. We have a login and a register button. Register page is going to have a few more forms on it. It's just going to have a first and last name, a username, user class, just to kind of keep things interesting, I guess. Email, confirm email, and password and confirm password. So pretty standard registration stuff. And oh my goodness, forgot to say hi to the people in chat. So what's up, Joshua? And looks like Joseph is joining us as well tonight. So hey, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad you could join us. Yeah, so hope you enjoy the stream. So this is basically what we're going to be looking at as far as the front end. Not too complicated or anything like that, but just to give you kind of a visual cue or a visual reference for now. All right, cool. So now that we have that going, we can actually take a look at this. Let's see. Oops. There we go. Okay, so we have a blank project. Basically, what I have is a folder, FullStack Auth from scratch, and inside of there, we're going to have our client and our server folders, and we'll work out of the same main root folder for everything for this project. So typically you'll see stuff, full stack applications like this with the client folder and then a server folder kind of separated out like that. So that's how we're going to do it. First thing we want to do is we're just going to go into the server folder. So cd server. All right. And there's a couple things we want to do. So we're starting out with a blank project. So we need to initialize a Git repository, and we need to initialize a package.json or whatever, essentially, for our project. Okay, so if we do git, or actually let's do npm init to initialize a new package. I think we could just do -y to flag everything as a yes. Yeah, so that just basically answers everything by default for us. So now we have a package.json, and I just want to initialize a Git repository. So we'll say git init, just like that, and that should give us a Git repository, and already we're tracking stuff. Cool. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to give ourselves, let's make a new folder. We'll just call it source. And inside of the source folder, we can just write our index.js. And this is where we're going to have basically build out our app. And we can actually just, I want to call this app.js actually. And then I just want to update the main right here for the package. Cool. Alright, so now we need to bring in a few different packages in order to use them in our project. Specifically, we're going to bring in Express, and we also want to bring in a development package for helping to restart the server over and over again without having to manually do it. It's called Nodemon, so we'll use that. I think that's all we're going to need for right now to pull in. So Express and Nodemon. I'll have to double check. So master, okay, so we'll do npm install Express. Alright, cool. We have Express in there. Alright, so along with creating a Git repository, we also need to write or create a Git ignore file. And a Git ignore file is where we can target different files and folders and whatnot to be excluded from Git. Git ignore, just like that. All right, so then we'll just say node underscore modules, just like that. Take it away. You can do it. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. This needs to be in the root folder. Sorry. Yep, okay, so it got grayed out now, so you can see if I delete that, it starts to track all the node modules again, so we don't want that. So let's make sure that we're definitely not pushing node modules to Git. Cool. And then let's just bring in Nodemon. So here, let's see. Nodemon. So Nodemon is a tool that helps develop Node.js based applications by automatically restarting the Node application when file changes in the directory are detected. So, pretty neat. And so we're gonna install it as a dev dependency because we don't necessarily need it in, we don't need it in our production build or whatever. I guess we're not going to really have a build because it's just a static app, but okay, so we'll say git, or not git, sorry, npm install nodemon -- save it as a dev dependency. So it's a package that isn't needed to run the application, just for development. It's installing that. All right, cool. Nodemon is added. So now that we have Nodemon added, let's go into our package and we're going to write some scripts. So this is basically what we're going to do, because when we write, like for instance, our Vue app, when we write npm run serve in the terminal, that's a script, bash script that's going to run some sort of command. So in instance, if we type npm run test, it's going to echo no test specified with exit code 1. So we don't need that necessarily, but we do need install. Joshua was saying install npm install -d nodemon. It's now a regular dependency. Oh, okay. So we can just do that. So npm uninstall. Oops. Nodemon. I don't know if I have to type in -- save to uninstall from dev dependency. I don't believe so. Oops, that's breaking it. Alright, let's put it in the proper spot. So npm, as the dudes in the chat are suggesting, npm I, shorthand for install, -d to save it as just a regular dependency. And Nodemon. Cool. Okay. So that's installing, and we still need to get our scripts written. So the one we're going to write is we're going to do start, and this will just essentially start the application. It's not going to set it in Nodemon or whatever. So we'll do, what is it? Node source slash app.js. Alright, so now if that works, if I run npm run start, just like that. Oop. npm run start, it'll start up our application. Cool. Now we want to write the script for Nodemon, so we'll say, I'll just call it dev, so it would be npm run dev to run the development server, and then it'll essentially kind of be the same thing as the start command, except instead of saying node, we're going to say Nodemon, and then source slash app.js. Cool. Now let's just make sure that works. We'll type that in and npm run dev in the terminal. Alright, cool. So we have Nodemon's running, but it's throwing an error from something. Server. Oh, that's why, because I have a typo. Should find it. There we go. Alright, cool. So now if we were to make a change, I'm gonna do like console dot, I don't know, just type anything really. You can see that it automatically restarts the server, tries to restart it. That broke it because it's just Joshua was saying dash save is no longer needed. Thankfully it is implicit now. That's what I thought too, but it, for whatever reason, I just kept doing it because I felt like if I didn't put the right thing under a dev dependency that something wouldn't work right. So anyways, okay, now we have everything pretty much ready to go to start writing our application. So let me just I'm gonna push or commit this stuff to Git. So let's cd into the server just like that, and then we'll change branch. So git checkout -b, and we will call it fsafs -s. So FullStack Auth from scratch, the server, and it'll be the 0 branch. Sorry, like that. You can name your branches however you want, but this is just how I've started naming my branch conventions. So we'll do server app init. Oh, we should probably just say express app init instead of server. Express app dot dash init. Do it. Go. All right, cool. Git add all git commit -m add, and it's going to be init server files app.js express app. Sure. Cool. And once we're done with this session, I will create the repository on GitHub and push code to GitHub so you can download it and take a look at it as we go along. Alright, so now we can start writing out our Express app. So first thing we want to do is we need to bring in Express. And so we'll say const Express equals require Express, just like that. And yeah, I think that's all we need. So then we are going to say const app equals Gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Express. No. Geez, sorry. Where's my reference? Oh yeah, okay, so that's right. Gosh, second guessing myself. That's what happens when I get on live stream. I forget what I'm doing. Okay, so we brought in Express. We're starting initializing a new Express app inside the variable app. And let's just first start with a simple GET request. So let's just do app.get, and this will be the root app request, so the root route. And that is going to give, so the route will be a string. If you haven't used Express before, basically the get the route functions is basically 2 parameters, or 3 if you're using middleware, but for right now we just have the 2. The first one is the route name as a string, and then the second parameter is a callback. And if we were using some sort of middleware, it would go in between the route parameter and the callback. But for right now we just have the route and the callback. So callback is going to be a callback function that gets 2 parameters in it, and it's going to be the rec and the res response object, right? All right, so basically when we visit like we'll say like localhost 3030 / or just localhost 3030, and it was the root route, we want to send something back to the user saying like, hey, welcome to the root route or whatever. So we'll just we'll use the response object in order to do so, and we say res.send, or we could do res.json if we're sending back some sort of JSON data. But since we're not sending any JSON data back, we'll just use res.send to send like a text or a string back to it, essentially, to the client side, our browser. So we'll say res.send, and we can just enter a string in here, and we'll say welcome to the FullStack from auth from scratch backend. Cool. Cool. Now that we have that, we just need a couple more pieces of information, and we will say we just need to make sure, or after we have our routes written at the end of the app or Express app, we need to listen for incoming requests. So we'll say app.listen, and then we'll define the port that we're going to listen on and a callback if we want to listen to it, or any type of like callback that gets ran when it starts listening on a certain port. So this is the final piece of a basic Express app that we need to kind of actually get everything up and running, the bare minimum. So we'll just do I'm gonna do 1337 for the port name because that's the best, and we'll just do a callback function, and we'll say it's an arrow, anonymous arrow function or whatever, and we can just say console.log and throw a set of backticks in there, and we'll say server started listening on port, and then we don't have this variable yet, but we'll extract it out to its own variable. Oops, not that. Port, just like that. So we can actually switch this out right here for port, and then we can go up just to underneath the or actually above the initialization of the Express app. We'll declare a variable, so const port equals 1337, just like that. All right, now if everything went as according to plan, when we start this up, we should get a console log, and we should be able to actually visit this route inside of our browser and get a message on screen saying welcome to the FullStack Auth from scratch backend. So let's see if that works. First of all, we notice that the Nodemon is working. There's no errors, so it is successfully running. So we should have no issues going here. Let's see if it let's see if we start it up, if it's going to listen or give us that yeah, so right here, see, it sends us the server list started listening on port 1337. That's this essentially this callback function right here when we call app.listen. Awesome. Okay, so let's go to the website and see what happens. Nodemon. Let's bring up the font size for this. It might be just a tad much. All right, so we'll do. It's running at localhost. So we'll say localhost 1337, and look at that. Welcome to the FullStack Auth and excuse me. Welcome to the FullStack Auth from scratch backend. Cool. So we have a basic backend running. Excellent. So what do we want to do now? Well, this is where we could start to implement kind of like our authorization route and whatnot. So this is going to be where we handle our login and our register routes. And if we're going to use this in context with a full application, these routes would be handled inside of an auth route, which we're going to write. While after that auth route, there would be the rest of the routes for the application. So any type of like navigation routes or anything like that, any type of API routes or anything like that, it's all going to go after the authentication, because Express works from the top down. So it's going to go, JavaScript works from the top down, but it's just going to sit there and run each route. It's going to go and check and make sure and go through each thing until it finds the right one that it's supposed to be in, and make sure that it basically passes any middleware tests or anything like that, or conditions. Yeah, so how do we go about doing that? So let's see here. Let's actually git add all of this. Git add, git commit -m update added route. Cool. We have that on there now as such. All right. So, okay. So what we want to do now is, so we're going to have to start with the register route, because we can't necessarily log in without, without registering first, right? So, so we'll do that. And we're going to do that right here. So underneath app.get, we're going to do, actually, before we do that, what I need to do is inside of the source folder, we're going to create a new folder and we'll call it auth. And this is going to be where we are writing these routes inside of. So we can write, we'll do a new file and do index.js. And inside of here, we want to make sure we bring in express equals require express. And then for this, we actually want, I think we can get away with just doing it in one statement. Yeah, okay. So we'll just say const instead of just bringing in. Okay, so originally what we need from this when we're working in these nested routes and whatnot with Express is we use when we have multiple routes, we use the view router, the Express router, and normally it would just be like const router equals express dot router. What is it? Router. Like that. Let's see. I think that's the right syntax. Whoops. Wrong parentheses are in the wrong area. express.router. So this is how you could do it. Otherwise, you can just tack on this router right there. So we'll say express router. So now we end up with const router equals require express.router. So if I were to say router dot get, and let's say we'll do register, and this is just a get request at the moment, but when we actually are making the requests to the server to register a new user, we'll have to use a post request. But just to make sure that this route is working, we're just going to do a basic get request for now. All right, rec and res inside the callback, and we are just going to res.send welcome to the register route. Neat. All right, cool. Now, after all said and done, we just need to export this router to be used inside of our main app. So we'll do module.exports, and then we can just say equals router, just like that. We don't have to export an object containing it because it's just one item. Alright, so now that we have that, we can come back into our app.js and we will bring in our app, or our auth route. So we'll say const auth equals require, let's see, yeah, oops, require, and then we'll just require the file path to that folder, just like that. And then the next thing we want to do is we're going to come down to inside of our router, our Express app, and underneath our root get request here, route, we're going to write a new one, and we will say, instead of app.get or app.post or anything like that, we're going to do app.use, because it's basically essentially treating this auth router as it's kind of its own a middleware, because app.use is how we register middleware to be used. So it kind of looks at it and treats it as a middleware, because it's going to go through here, it's going to use this route, and then it's going to continue on if it doesn't find anything inside of this auth route that it can use. So we'll do that, and first parameter we need in this function is going to be the actual path, so auth, and then we just need to pass in the auth object that we imported. All right, so now if we come back into our the browser and we go to localhost again, 1337, localhost 1337. Okay, so we have that, right? Cool, that works. And now if we go to auth/register, now we have welcome to the register route. Very cool. All right, so it's working, and awesome. Okay, so we have that. Let's come back into our index.js, and we can just for the sake of it, we're just going to create the login get route just for the heck of it, just so we have another thing going here. Login route. So now in theory, if I come back here and I type in login right here, it'll bring me to the welcome to the login route. Okay, cool. So we have a basic nested route Express app going right now. What we need to do next is, so we're going to look at a couple of tools that we're going to be using for the duration of this project. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, we're going to be using MongoDB. You can use whatever you want if you're familiar with a relational database language. Feel free to use that. A different language than Mongo if you don't want to use that in a non-relational database language. But we're just going to use Mongo for the simplicity's sake, and it's very commonly used in the industry, so it'll be good to get that kind of under our belts as well, tie everything in together. So with using Mongo, we're not going to go through getting it set up locally or anything like that. There's tons of videos out there on YouTube that you can, I can share a video or a link. I'll add a link in the description for a good video on how to get Mongo set up locally on your machine, because it can be kind of a pain. Otherwise, you can use something like Mongo Atlas, where it's like their online MongoDB instances and stuff that you can target. Basically, it works the exact same way as far as our app is concerned. It just the credentials might have to be a little bit different based on if you're using it locally or from a remote instance. But basically, we'll go through setting that up really quick. And one of the tools that I recommend using with Mongo is this tool called Robo T3. It's basically just like a GUI for going through your MongoDB instances and stuff. You can see that I have a local host one here set up. So I'll have to share the link for that. Actually, here we go. Let's see, do we have project resources? I'll just share it really quick. So Robo T3. So you can check this out. I think it's just the Robo T3 is what I use. They have the like studio or whatever, but I don't think you need that. I don't know if that's like you need to pay for that either. But we get that tool going with our MongoDB setup, and we should be good to go. So considering we have a MongoDB instance up and running either remotely or locally, basically we just want to create a new we're going to create a new database, right? And I don't know if you guys can see this very well. I'm going to actually bring up the text if I can. I don't know if it's going to let me actually. Probably won't. I don't think it's going to let me bring the font size up. Okay, so I guess bear with me if you can't really read it. We're just going to right click on new connection and do create database, and it's going to ask us to give it a name. We'll just say I already have FSAFS, so let's just do, can I do all caps? I don't think it's going to let me do caps actually, so we'll do FSAFS dash prod for, we'll do live. Cool. All right, so I have this new database. We just need to come in here and look at the collections, and basically we're just going to create a new collection, and we'll call it users. And this is going to be what we're going to store our users inside of. I know that it has this users folder in here, but that's something different. It's for like the actual users of the database versus like a collection of users. So don't be confused with that. We do want to make a new collection called users, not trying to use this folder thing, because that's not what we want. Okay, so we have a new collection. If we open that up, you can see it's just a blank table right now. There's nothing in there, which is fine. That's all we need for the moment. So we have Robo T3, and then the other tool that we're going to be using is for API backend development. It's pretty powerful tool. I use it quite often. It's really helpful for building APIs, and it's called Postman. Highly recommend you have this tool on your setup, no matter what you're doing. If you're doing any type of like back-end work or even front-end work, because you can just make requests. You can make all types of different requests in here: get, post, put, patch, delete, copy, head, option, unlink, purge, lock, unlock. Some of these, like, it's like you didn't even know they had all of these different like HTTP methods and whatnot. So, but you'll usually just use the get, and Post and like the main ones or whatever for writing RESTful apps and whatnot for building APIs. But super helpful because you can pass in headers, you can pass in a body to be, as you can see here, I have a username and password I'm sending over with the Post request. You can type in the headers, API keys, authorization, params. I mean, it's just an amazing tool. So if you haven't checked out Postman yet, I highly recommend you check it out. Let's see if we can go to their screen. Let's see. Postman. All right, get Postman. Again, highly recommend using this tool as well. It'll just make your life as a developer just exponentially easier. I guarantee it. Okay, we have our tools shared now. What are we going to do? Let's see. I don't know what are we at for time? 43 minutes right now. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna go through now, and now that we have a database collection set up, we're gonna go through and actually make a connection to it. So let's actually get checkout -b. Alright, I'm just going to make a new branch, fsafs dash s dash 01 auth router init. All right, and then get checkout -b for checking out and creating a new branch and checking it out in the same command. And we will just say oh wait, I'm ahead of myself. Goodness, I gotta add this stuff. Get add all. Get commit -m add auth router init. All right, now we can do get checkout -b fsafs -s -03 __ it's gonna be db connection. All right, cool. Now we'll go inside of our source folder. We'll right click and make a new folder, and we'll call it db. And inside of that folder that we just created, we're going to create a new JavaScript file, and it will be, we'll call it connection.js. Right? Okay, so instead of just using the Mongo API syntax and whatnot, we're gonna actually use a package on top of Mongo in order to just make it a little bit easier to work with. That package is called Monk, and it's basically just for making, it just kind of helps to make easier database queries and stuff like that using the tool. So we'll do Monk. I want to pull it up here so you can take a look. Take a look at the package if you want. Sharing it in the description right now. But yeah, a tiny layer that provides a simple yet substantial usability improvement for the MongoDB usage within Node.js. So you can just see, essentially just makes it a little bit easier to work with. You don't have to use it, but it'll make your life easier. So we need to bring Monk in. So we'll do, let's see, what do we, I think it's just npm I monk. Where is it? Yep, right here. All right, so npm install Monk, just like that. It's gonna do its thing. Excellent. Now that that's in there, we can bring it in. So we will say const, inside of our connection.js file, we'll say const monk equals require monk. Just like that. Cool. All right, and now that we have that, so this is where we're gonna do Where is it? Monk. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just looking for using it with a hosted hosted DB instance, but instead of just doing my host, like the path right here would just be the path of the route or the path of the DB instance that they provide with you. For you, it would just go here. You'd have to replace your username and credentials or whatever. But since I'm working with the local one, we're gonna just do it with the local syntax. So const, I just want to bring in the address of this where this database is living. And actually, if we take a look, it says right here localhost 27017. So on port 27017, this database is living right now for us to access. So we're going to do that. And the nice thing about this RoboTI, you can see that right here in this this address bar type thing, this is a query field, query bar. This is essentially the exact code that you need in order to perform these queries and stuff like that. So kind of you can just copy and paste it into your thing after searching through a collection for certain stuff and whatnot. So that's also really helpful, but we won't need to worry about that right now. So we'll just say const local equals, and then it's just local host, and then the port is 27017, and the route is fsafs-live. All right, cool. Now what I want to do is we're going to just instantiate what's at this the database that's in at this address into a variable. So we'll do const db equals local. Oh wait, I'm sorry. We're gonna do monk, and that's gonna target this, and we'll pass in local. So this would be the same as if we were just gonna go, obviously, just call monk, and it would be like getting the collection from this route right here. But since we have it in its own variable, we're just gonna go about it that way. All right, so we got that going, and the last thing we need to do to make this work is, again, we just need to export this database to be used elsewhere as a module. So module.export equals db, just like that. Cool. All right, so the last thing we want to do in order to finish up linking up our database to our back end is we just need to bring in our database into our main app. Excuse me. Okay, so instead of actually, it's not going to be in the app.js, it's going to be, we're going to bring it in. What did I call this branch? It's just DB connection. So it looks like Joshua's doing an async await version of this. So that'll be cool to take a look at. I mean, I'm familiar with async await. More so, I'm starting to learn it and switch over to stuff better and understand it better. More so with like the front end stuff with Vue, just because I'm more familiar with that syntax and how to do it properly over there. But I mean, I can't imagine it'd be that difficult. I feel like it would just be async that, or maybe not. I don't know. Or maybe it's async like that, and then await like that. I don't know. This would be like unnecessary wait. So if we were doing like a fetch request to some sort of other thing, I don't know. I'm not worried about it right now. I mean, I understand how async await works. I know how to write it in certain contexts, but not at the moment. I'm not gonna do that. We could probably convert it over as like a sprint, depending on how long this project actually takes us. So cool. All right, so inside of the index.js, we need to bring in our database in order to get access to that. So we'll just say, kind of like how we brought in the auth route. So we'll just say const db equals require and just the path for that. DB and connection, just like that. And we just need to pull the users collection out of this database now. So we'll do const users, because that's the name of the collection that we're trying. Well, I mean, that's the variable we're initializing it in, but obviously we want it to be the same as name as the collection to some degree, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it could be what you want to do, but don't take my word for it. Const users equals db.get. And then we pass in users as a string. And it might give you this deprecation warning, server discovery for the Mongo client, but I've just been ignoring it because it's a deprecation warning and it hasn't created any breaking changes in the prototype of this. So it's not something you have to necessarily worry about right now, but if it does give you a deprecation warning, you can try and change it to the recommended thing. I know that it was saying insert was being replaced with insert one, but then insert one wouldn't work for me, so I had to use insert, but it was still giving me a deprecation warning with the one it was saying to recommend to use doesn't work, and I was just like, what the heck is going on? And so I just started using it all the same. And it works. Okay, cool. So we have that, and let's see. I guess we could go into our database and add a new user, but let's go into. Well, we don't really even have a schema yet, so I think. So where are we at with time right now? Just under an hour. I think I'm going to try and keep it more succinct episodes, hour-long episodes. So I think with that being said, we'll commit the DB connection to Git our Git repository. I'll push the code up, and then next session we will go through and start writing our registration, our register route. And I don't want to start it tonight because I know that it will be kind of an in-depth code process, and I want to be able to explain it well, and it probably will take a good 45 minutes to walk through it step by step, because there's a lot of steps that are required into going through a whole process like this from scratch. So I want to make sure that we're going through it in a pace that's easy to follow, also easy to understand, and I'm not like skipping over stuff because I'm just like, oh, it's taking too long or whatever. So with that being said, I think we're gonna call it for the evening. I got more stuff to do. We're gonna be streaming more often. I got the mic situation figured out. I'm gonna get rid of this headset. I got a condenser mic that we're gonna be switching over to, and hopefully no more issues. Yeah, like I said at the beginning of the stream, been dealing with the depression stuff, so that can, if anybody's dealt with depression before, you know, it can just suck the motivation out of you like no tomorrow. So if I'm ever slacking, feel free to reach out and shoot a message, check in, whatnot. Const db equals local monk local, and then passing in an object, use unified topology true. Oh, I see what he's saying. So really quick before we go, Joshua pointed out that we can go like this. Pass in an options object, And this is where it's telling us right here, this pass option to the Mongo client constructor. So sometimes you just need to read the things all the way through, but I struggle with that, especially in the live streams. So let's just pass that in, and we'll see what that does. So we got an options used, use unified topology is true, and it looks like the deprecation warning has subsided. So that's awesome. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it. Always looking out. What the heck is going on with that? Why did that open up? I don't want that open. Close. Okay. Let's see. Git add all. Git commit -m update, or actually add db connection and monk package. All right. Okay. So yeah, like I was saying, if anybody, if I've been away for longer than anticipated, feel free to reach out to me. You know, just check on. That's how you got to do stuff, and that's how you got to do stuff. Just reach out and check on people, man, because life sucks sometimes, and we only have each other to get through it. Anyways, enough of that stuff. I'm just gonna create the new repository, push it up to that repository, and we'll call it fsafs server. Backend for the live coding series, FullStack Auth from scratch by yours truly via YouTube. And I'll add more stuff to this, you know, as we go further along. But for right now, I just need to get this initialized. All right, so we need to say git remote add origin, and we're going to paste in the link it gave us. All right, we have that added. So now we should be able to get push -u -03-s. Oh, I'm missing origin. There we go. Go all the way over here. Tab. Come on. Work. Oh, fsafs-s-03. There we go. And as well as that, I also want to just do git checkout -b, and we're just going to do a dev branch. And then, so we'll push merges and stuff to development, and then once development is ready to go and be processed to be production ready, then we'll push it to master from development. Just kind of a basic standard way of working with Git flow and stuff that I've kind of been learning through various projects. All right, git push -u origin dev. All right. If we take a look at this repository now, what do we got here? Do we have all of the branches? No, just those three. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to share the dev branch in the chat, and then I will push the rest of the branches up just so everybody can look at them and stuff. But for now, I think we're going to call it an evening. So thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Live Coding with Rabbitwerks JavaScript. My name is Sean. Super stoked to be back coding. This project is going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to follow me on GitHub if you want to check that out. You can follow me on Instagram, although I'm not really on there anymore. I'm kind of stepping away from Facebook-esque type stuff. I'm not really on Twitter anymore, so I'll have to be updating my graphics just because the social medias of the world are kind of something I want to stay away from these days. That being said, tune in next week to YouTube. So anyways, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you like this video, you can join the Rabbitwerks Discord if you want to check out. If you have any questions, that's the best way to get a hold of me. Yeah, I think that's it. Check out Rabbitwerks Code Beats on Spotify. If you like the jams, go ahead and give it a follow. And without further ado, we'll see you next time. Hopefully, like I said, we'll be doing these once a week. That's my goal, and I'm gonna try and keep myself to it. So next week we'll be building out the register route, and all of the functionality that goes into such a feature. So thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, stay awesome, keep coding, and have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever time it is, I don't know. But thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.